This is the new Subaru Solterra, and it's an all-electric vehicle. So there's no fuel in this whatsoever, completely fully electric. However, you would be forgiven for thinking I am driving Toyota's BZ4X, also an all-electric vehicle. That's the Beyond Zero four-wheel drive X, so crossover, so to speak, which we reviewed a few weeks ago. There now to watch that review, because it is actually different to this car in a couple of ways. But to look at, they look almost identical, trust me. But there's a reason behind that, because Subaru were responsible for the all-wheel drive system on the BZ4X. So therefore, when they came to choose their own cars to run their system as well, they chose the BZ4X, and Toyota said, well, you can use our car as long as we can use your four-wheel drive system. So that's why you end up with the Subaru X-Drive. It's exactly the same X-Drive that you get in the Subaru Forester, by the way. Thought I'd mention that. Solterra gets its name from Sol meaning sun and terra meaning earth, the two sort of Latin-y type names that you can come up with. I think it's a much nicer name, Solterra. It sounds like something a little bit more fancy than the BZ4X from Toyota. They look the same, but are they same? Well, we need to check that out, because there are a number of differences underneath this car as well. So let's have a look around the Subaru Solterra and see what we think of it. You're watching me, AJ, on the Player YouTube channel. If you've never seen what we've done before, what we do, then check out this little intro for the next minute and a half. I think you'll get a good idea of what we're up to. And after that, we'll crack on with the review. This is how a car should sound. Listen to this. I didn't really push it either. I was just having a bit of fun. Oh, really? Wheel spring? Outside. Cool. So there you have it, guys. The Ferrari Roma. My birthday present. Go. We're going to meet the crew and hopefully get the same. That's the real one.
I think it makes a good work.
Let's go.
Nice to start.
Nice to see you. Show us your big chopper, your helicopter. So here we are, the Morgan Roadster, where we're here for the Swiss Watch Show. Guys, guess what? It's another morning here out in sunny France. The Subaru Solterra gets its all-wheel drive system, as we said, from Subaru's famous Forester. But don't forget, this is an electric car, so there's no combustion engine terms to propel that all-wheel drive system. What this car has are two motors, one housed on the front axle and one housed on the rear. Now the motors are each 80 kilowatts. Now you're probably saying 80 kilowatts, what's that, AJ? Well, in combustion engine terms, it's about 107 brake horsepower. So combine the two, you get 160 kilowatts, or the equivalent of 214 brake horsepower. It will actually propel this car from 0 to 60 in just under 7 seconds, which is pretty incredible for a car that weighs over 2 tons. With your Solterra, there are two different trim levels. Entry-level cars come in a handful of different colours, and they're called the Limited, and they start from just under 50,000 UK pounds. And for that, you get all of the following. Some really nice 18-inch rims, a cheeky set of LEDs. You get the running lights, you get the indicators, you get the side lights, the headlights, and, not forgetting, a cheeky little set of fog lights. Rain sensing wipers, and some nice foldy-in mirrors that heat up in the winter. Round at the back, you get a full set of LED tail lights, an LED fog light and LED reversing lights. Loads of LEDs, but you need them on an electric car. You get the reverse beepers and you get a reverse camera. And finally, if all that wasn't enough, you get a nice electronically assisted tail lift that'll keep you dry during the wetter times. You get a number of lovely techie bits with your entry-level car. So even on the Limited, you will get keyless entry, keyless ignition. Well, it's not actually ignition because it's an electronic car at the end of the day, but you've got a power button there. So you push that on, you've got a 12-inch TFT touchscreen which fires up there. You've got a really nice digital cluster there as well, which gives you a speedo and it tells you what you are actually getting to the mile for your power and everything. The only thing I will say is that the steering wheel tends to be, no matter how you set your seat up, it does tend to be right in your eyesight for that digital cluster. It's a bit of an annoyance at times as well. You have got a driver recognition system on this as well. So the car, once you've programmed it with your face, it will recognise when you are driving. It can set the seats up for you, put the aircon on the way you like it, does all nice little bits and pieces like that for you. You get heated front seats as standard and heated rear seats, believe it or not, which is nice. You get a heated steering wheel, and I do like the steering wheel on this car. It's very nice. You get cruise control, lane keeping, distance and lane departure as well, and you get blind spot monitoring on your mirrors. So you're getting a lot of bang for your buck here as well. All in all though, it is a really nice place to sit. The seats are superbly bolstered. They're Toyota seats at the end of the day, and we all know that Toyota make a really decent seat. So I could be quite happily sitting here for a number of miles. All in, comfortable, and it's very good for the money. So your top of the range or kitchen sink level trim level is called the Touring, and it starts at 53,000 UK pounds. And behold, we have one here today. It comes with 20-inch alloys. Very nice indeed. Comes with a full-length panoramic sunroof. Inside, by the magic of edit, you will see a beautiful faux leather interior with an electronic front passenger seat. Oh yes, so you've got double electronic seats now. In addition to that, you will get wireless charging for your Apple device and a Harman Kardon surround sound system, which does sound absolutely brilliant. Let's check out under the bonnet of the Solterra. And I know you're thinking it's an electric car, AJ. There's nothing under there. There's a frunk. Let me show you what is under there because it's a little bit different. So your bonnet release catch is just down here in the driver's footwell. It's a single pull, nice and easy. Don't forget, if you're driving the left-hand drive version, it's going to be in the passenger footwell. The actual bonnet catch is right dead centre there. So look at the dead centre of the car itself. Put your finger in there, your index finger, reach down and you will feel a little lever. Pull it to the left and then you're going to have to push this up. There's no gas struts. It's fairly heavy as well. The actual bonnet strut is there. Pop it in there and now it's all nice and safe. Okay, so I said the frunk. Normally you have a front trunk where you keep your electric cables, whatever you want to keep in there. But here you can actually see the motor and all the gubbins and the workings of the car, which I think was probably designed this way so it makes it nice and easy to work on. So you get a 72.8 kilowatt battery with this that can charge up to about 100 kilowatts every time when you go into a 100 kilowatts charging station, which means on average around 80% charge in 30 minutes, which isn't bad. Now I actually tested it the other day on a 75 kilowatt charger, and it took a little bit longer than usual because one thing that a lot of people, when they talk about these cars, the reviewers don't mention that when you're on a charger, if other people are on chargers as well, the charge fluctuates. So the more people are on the chargers, the less power you're all getting. So if you're the only one there, you're going to get the full bang for your buck. Now I was on a 75 kilowatt charger. There were 3 other people pulled up while I was there. I averaged between 55 and 60% charge, 55, 60 kilowatts instead of the usual 75. It took around 40 minutes to actually get the 80% of charge that I needed. But nonetheless, it was very, very good and very quick. So if you're on a home charger, that's 7.4 kilowatts, slightly different. It's going to take around 12 hours to fully charge this. Range is going to vary between 160 and 200, depending on the time of year, what you've actually got on. But this car does come with a heat pump. We'll talk about all the bits and pieces that you get with the entry-level car, but the heat pump is essential, I think. And that will save you a lot of your battery because that takes care of things like the aircon, the wipers, the lights, stuff like that. So it runs independently of your main battery. they actually say, or Subaru actually say, after 10 years, you will still have 90% of the battery life in this car. Now, you know, when you buy a new iPhone, it's fantastic. I'm going to give you how it actually works here. After like 6 months, your iPhone, you're starting to charge it twice a day, or maybe 8 months. Similar to a car battery, it's exactly the same. It depreciates, the cells die, so over a number of years. However, 90% left after 10 years, it's not bad. That's quite a big statement to actually make. So all in all, you know, it's quite a nice little compact unit, not quite the mileage I'd like. However, if you want the ultimate extra with this car, why not invest in what Subaru sell as a solar panelled roof? Yes, you can get up to around 1,100 miles a year out of a solar panel roof. Definitely not here in the UK, as you can probably see. You probably get about 3. Anyway, worth looking into when you go down and you chat to your Subaru salesperson about what the options are on this, which is pretty much only one. As soon as you get out on the road in the Solterra properly, to have a proper drive of it, you're going to feel how comfortable this car is. Yes, it is a heavy car, but the seat bolstering and the actual suspension of the car are pretty good. That's the first thing that I noticed. You get a good all-round peripheral vision in this car as well. When I reviewed the BZ4X, the Toyota, I did mention how good these, you know, the actual windows are all the way around. You've got this little sort of quarter light here in the corner, and it's really good for reversing or when you're parking as well. And the mirrors are really nice and big on here. Mirrors get blind spot monitoring as well, which I think is absolutely essential, even, you know, in today's modern driving. You get a lot of bang, you get your bang for your buck when it comes to the safety aids on this car. You've got cruise control, you've got the lane departure, the lane keepy. At the same time, you've got sign recognition, you've got a tyre pressure monitor, and that's all displayed by this 7-inch digital cluster at the front here. You can manipulate that using the menu here, moving up and down. I've actually got it set on what we're getting to so basically it's the miles to the kilowatt, which I'll explain in a minute, and I've got the speedo up there, but as soon as you set up any of the cruise controls and that, it all comes up there as well. So a really nice display, and it's very, very easy to read. The only issue that the steering wheel does get in the way, you've almost got to drop the steering wheel really low and drive it either low or really high, and you sit low. That's probably a bit of a faux pas in the design of this car at the end of the day, but you get round it, and it's, like I say, it's extremely comfortable. Let's talk about the economy of the car, because a lot of people say, well, electric cars, they're so expensive, they're expensive to run. Yes, if you're plugging this in on a public charger, it will cost you between 60 and 70 pence here in the UK per unit, per kilowatt. But when you work out, we are currently getting 3.5 thereabouts, that's miles per kilowatt. So for every kilowatt, we're getting 3.5 miles. In petrol terms or diesel terms, for every kilowatt, that's around 40 miles in combustion engine terms. So if you do the maths on it, even at 3 times, if we were only getting 3 miles to the kilowatt, it'd still be 120 to the gallon. And that's constant. That's around town, that's out in the motorway. Around town, probably a little bit more. It does tend to juice it up a bit more because you don't get as much regen when you're on a run. Now, regen, you can actually set on this car. You've got paddles here. There's no gears in electric cars, you're probably fully aware, but these are your regen paddles. So the more you pull back on that, the more regen you get. Now, it uses a KERS recovery system. That's kinetic energy recovery system, like on a Formula 1 car. So basically what happens is, as you're driving, when you take your foot off like that, you're coasting, the car will almost come to a complete stop. There we go, my foot's off, and yeah, just. Now, what that's actually doing is taking that energy, that residual energy, and putting it back into the battery. It's never going to charge the battery fully. We know that. It'd be lovely in an ideal world. That's exactly how it would work. And also that does that when you're braking as well. So all of that goes back in the battery. You will get a little bit more on your economy. But as I say, it's never going to charge the whole battery itself. That day will hopefully come. Another option you get with this car, just thought I would mention it just while we're driving it around. You can get it with a yoke, you know, like an airplane yoke. It's really, really nice. And the reason that Toyota came out with that idea was to create a bit more space in here. I really like it. I think it's different. It's whether you would get used to driving that. This car also comes with a fly-by-wire steering, It's nice, it's quite responsive, it's very, very light. You will find you can manipulate the car very easily. When I mean fly-by-wire, basically the car uses a computer to actually steer, so it's judging where you're turning and manipulating that into your steering, which is very, very clever. But it does give that sort of super light feel to the steering. Makes this car very easy to park as well. Parking, you've got the reverse camera, you've got the beepers, very easy to maneuver this car. I do like it, and as I mentioned again, that little quarter light there is really good, and these mirrors are absolutely exceptional. So all in, when you're out in this car, don't think you're going to be disappointed. The only thing I will say is that obviously do remember when you're driving an electric car, when you've got aircon on, or during the winter you've got the heater on and you've got the wipers going and it's at night, you've got the lights on, you're going to suck up a lot more battery, and it will also depend on the temperature. The outside ambient temperature as well will dictate how many miles you get to the gallon, so you must bear that in mind. Also, I would highly suggest you get a home charger for this car, because if you are constantly charging it on a public charger like we do when we're road testing these cars, it can prove a little bit expensive. But at the end of the day, all in, it's an eco-friendly car, it's comfortable, it's safe, it's responsive, and yeah, I like driving it. So there you have it, the Subaru Solterra. What do I think of it? Well, I think it's definitely got its place in the market, in the electric SUV market. If you're looking at Tesla Model Ys, for example, or Hyundai Ioniq 5, or even the new Nissan Ariya, then this should be up there with your test drives. I mean, you've got to give one a little ride and see what you think of it compared with, as I say, the other manufacturers. All round though, brilliant car. Is it value for money? I always feel that electric cars are slightly overpriced at the moment. They're great for what they do. You've got to end up spending a little bit on home chargers and things like that, and you have to get used to, driving about in an electric car. It's a different way of life, and I do feel here in the UK we're not quite set up yet to be fully electric. You're still going to have that second car. So do you make this your main car, or does this become the runabout car for the journeys backwards and forwards to school, down to the supermarket, or whatever you're doing? I don't know at the end of the day. That would be down to your individual preference. You get a decent warranty with this car. It's 3 years or 60,000 miles. You will also get a good warranty for that battery, because that is the most important. It's 8 years or 100,000 miles, whichever comes first. You've got a 12-year anti-perforation warranty on this car. Now, if it was built by Toyota, which I'm pretty sure it is, as we said in the beginning of this review on the Solterra, then I don't think you're going to have much to worry about any rusty bits underneath, because that's where your anti-perforation comes in. You've got a 3-year paint warranty, and you've got roadside assistance from the day you drive it off the forecourt. So you're pretty much covered on all that. But at the end of the day, the proof's in the pudding. Get down to your Subaru garage and give one a test drive. Servicing, by the way, every 12 months or 9,000 miles. Just so I mentioned that. But don't forget, electric cars a lot less to cost to service than combustion engine cars, for obvious reasons. So take my advice, give one a little test drive, and then you can make your own mind up. You've been watching me, AJ, on the Player YouTube channel. As I mentioned before, we don't just do car reviews. Don't forget, like, subscribe and comment. If you've got any questions about this car, then just leave a comment in the comment box. If you've actually bought one of these cars and you want to tell us a little bit about your own personal experiences with the car, then put them down there as well, because people who are thinking of maybe buying one of these cars, it's all important to have that feedback from someone who actually owns one and drives one, on a day-to-day basis. So don't forget, comments down below. Subscribe to the channel, that'd be great. And don't forget, leave the bell sign unchecked so you get regular updates from all the videos we do, because you saw at the beginning of this review, we don't just do car reviews, because we are part of The Player, which is a much bigger organisation. And The Player itself produces a bookazine for us men. Oh yes, a bookazine. A bookazine is a magazine with a hardback cover, so it comes out on the frequency of a magazine. In the Player's instance, it comes out every quarter, so every 3 months. It's a 220-page bookazine. It's got everything in it that us guys love. Trust me, there's cars, there's boats, there's jet skis, there's holidays, there's golf, there's food, there's interviews, everything within that 220 pages. That's all free of charge for you, the online version. So all you've got to do is, because you watch me, AJ, on the Player YouTube channel, you can have a copy of that completely free of charge. As I mentioned, it is the online version. The other version is £100 UK. Subscribe to it if you want to. You can buy one. I'm not stopping you doing that. I'm sure the boss would be rather unhappy if I told you not to buy one. But you can have a free version of that, which is on www.theplayer.co.uk. It's coming up somewhere around here now. The editor will do that for me. Head over there. All you need is your name and an email, and you can either download it or read it at your leisure online. Thanks for watching, guys. I will catch you next week with hopefully something as interesting as the Subaru Solterra. See you then.